Hi Taurus, I hope you're doing well. Taurus, this is a general reading, so there are no dates or times on these readings. Whenever the message finds you, if it resonates and fits, then that's absolutely fine. It doesn't matter what point in space-time that you find it. If you feel like you need to swap and reverse the roles, then that's absolutely fine as well. It's just much easier for me to kind of interpret the message all from one perspective, otherwise it can get quite confusing. But if you feel yourself resonating much more with the other side, when I'm saying that Taurus is this side, that's fine. Swap, reverse, change however you see fit. And then the last is Taurus, please don't try and force the messages to fit. If a message is truly for you and it's truly resonating, then you will know. Make sure you just run everything through your intuition. Don't try and force things to fit, because then you can just end up getting misinformation and applying it to situations that don't necessarily need that point of view or approach. So it's very, very important to always be checking in with your intuition. So without further ado, Taurus, we will begin your reading. Okay, I'm going to start with the Haunted Mansion Tarot for you, Taurus, which is a bit more self-reflective than the other decks that I've used today, I'd say. So we'll see what pops up. Taurus, oh, there we go. Nice. Okay, so Taurus, you had the it's not the Emperor, but the way that I'm seeing this is like the Emperor, okay? And it's in reverse. But let's not even go with tarot associations, actually, because that's not what's wanting to come through. So we can see this gentleman, right, who stood in a doorway. I was going to say gateway, doorway, and then just said doorway. Let's call it a doorway. So we have this gentleman here that stood in a doorway, in a gateway, at an entrance point of something that you, Taurus, I hope I didn't call you Aries by accident. Sorry if I do accidentally call you Aries, I literally just finished that reading. But there's something that you are trying to get information on, and something is preventing that. Okay, it's almost like an investigative journalist kind of vibe that I'm getting going, right? Because we've got him waiting at the entrance, but then they came up reversed. So it's like someone stood in front of Taurus and been like, actually, you don't have VIP, or you don't have a certain clearance, or you're not at the level in order to be in this business meeting. It's something like that. But there's something that you're like itching to get. You're like itching to get inside, Taurus. You're itching to get inside there, and you're kind of like, right, how can I make this situation turn in my favor? How can I convince this person, convince this business, convince this company, convince this friendship group, however it applies in your situation? How can I convince them that I am meant to be in there with everyone else, that I am meant to be worthy to have entrance into this environment? And I do want to say that no monetary bribes are going to work, Taurus. Not going to work with this person here, right? He doesn't fall for monetary bribes, and it seems like he doesn't really fall for any type of bribery, right? It's almost like the only way that you're going to get in, or the only way that you're going to get the information that you desire, or to have the situation play out in your favor, is by sheer proving yourself, proving your worth, proving that you're capable, proving that you've risen to the level that means that you should be granted entry into whatever it is that you're trying to get into. New business, a promotion you're trying to get, investigative journalism, who knows? But there's definitely a barricade here. There's definitely a blockage of some description that you're going to have to figure out a way of navigating around. But the advice that I can hear is that it is literally not going to be, you're not going to be able to get around in a snaky manner if you were considering it, Taurus. That's funny actually, because I literally just started fiddling with my snake ring, which I have literally not touched in the last 2 videos. You're not going to be able to get around it in a sneaky manner. You need to go through the necessary steps. You can't cut any corners. You're just going to have to go through whatever process it is that you need to go through to prove your self-value, to prove that you're worthy of being in there, okay? So, oh, interesting, Taurus. This is very, very different. Let's see what else we can get. Taurus, please. Oh, nice. This is amazing, right? Look at the cards. Okay, so you've got this guy here stopping entry, right? Then you have the 10 of Cups and this one here granting you entry. Look how she's got a key, and she's stood in the same doorway that he's stood in, right? And what was I saying about this? Like, there's some kind of like a club or like a business or a partnership, like a not like a romantic partnership, although it could be, I guess, because you've got this kind of 10 of Cups here, so it could be that this is sort of like the in-laws that you need to try and impress, in order for them to be like, right, okay, yeah, you are worthy enough of being with my daughter or being with my son. Okay, you could take it in that perspective. But you see how there's this collective in the background. It feels almost like I don't know, like an elite sort of like a stakeholder thing, that kind of a situation. But it's just so funny how you've literally gone from this guy who's blocking entry to this one literally giving you the key, right? So what I want to say with this 10 of Cups here, Taurus, is that this is the direction that you should be moving in, because it's your 10 of Cups, right? It is absolute fulfillment. Absolute fulfillment, feeling like you've completed, feeling like you've achieved, feeling like you've got the desired outcome that you set out to achieve and to accomplish, and it will fulfill you as much as you are suspecting it will, okay? But there is hurdles that you need to go through in order to get the access to this key, right? And one of those hurdles I feel like is literally just proof of self-worth. By putting in the work necessary to prove that you are, I keep hearing the word like elite, like you're almost like elite enough to be a part of the group. So I don't know if you're like a scientist or something like that, but that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting. There's some sort of elite club. Could be like you're trying to go and get a PhD, and like this is you sort of doing that. I can't remember what they're called. They're called like oh, I literally can't remember what they're called. There's like something that to get your PhD you have to do like this big presentation in front of like a big group of other people who got their PhDs, and then they welcome you into it and your doctorate, and it's that kind of a vibe, right? So just take it and apply it however it sort of fits. This is just kind of the imagery that I'm getting sent. Okay, so I'm kind of interested to know what some of these hurdles are. King of Wands and 5 of Swords. Okay, so I feel like this King of Wands here, right, is this individual here. So who's the King of Wands? The King of Wands literally represents head of business, right? Head of a leading organization or a leading company, or they're experts in their field, right? The King of Wands is the expert. It is the doctor in his field. It is the CEO. It is the like super famous musician. It's like that kind of area of life, right? That's what it kind of represents. It's someone that's followed their passions, very fiery, very, very charismatic, and somewhat elitist, right? And then we've got the 5 of Swords, so this indicates walking away from something. So there's almost an element, right, of Taurus, you need to not try so hard, but at the same time you need to try really hard, okay? Let's try and explain this. So you've got the 5 of Swords here. Do you see how he's kind of like turning away and he's like sticking his tongue out? It's almost like he's turning away from this guy who's just sort of said, no, sorry mate, you're not coming in, you're not granted entry. And he's like, right, okay, well, whatever. I don't need you guys anyway. I can go it alone. It's that kind of a vibe, right? So you need to almost act like you're not as interested as you are. So still be interested and still set your mind on the goal, right? And the goal is to gain entry into whatever this is, to get this key that she's giving you, right? but there's a need to kind of not be as full on as you're being. So maybe you're being a bit too full on, Taurus. Maybe you're acting a bit too kiss ass. Sorry, Taurus. But maybe you're sort of kissing ass a bit too much, and that's kind of off-putting. That's kind of like, you know, we will make our decision when we make our decision, or we will make our decision based on your performance, okay? And if you're being too fake, even though I'm not saying you're fake, Taurus, but like it might come across to people who don't necessarily know you well, or people in this environment, that you're being a bit too fake, or you're like acting a little bit too desperate, and that is a kind of off-putting. So it's like you need to act almost a bit elitist, right? There's this theme of like elitist that kind of comes out, which I really don't like, but there's some sort of social setting where it's like you are required to be somewhat, not snobby, maybe snobby, I don't know, Taurus, but you need to kind of act like you don't need them. You want to be a part of them, but you don't need them, right? I feel like that makes sense. Yeah, I don't need to over explain that. You get it. If it's for you, Taurus, then you get it. Okay, right? I just saw 11:11 on the clock then. I've never seen 11:11 on any of my readings before. I've never looked at the right time. So you're definitely on the right path, Taurus. 100%. Let's get into the card. Justice. I'll take that one too. And Knight of Cups. Okay, we'll take it. Justice and Knight of Cups. Okay, I want to go with the Knight of Cups first, because you know how we were just saying how you kind of need to act like I want to be a part of you, but I don't need you, right? And there's this, again, this whole kind of general theme of like this elitist. Oh, I hate that I'm saying that word, but that is the word that keeps coming into my head. Or like a not like a secret club, but maybe like a club of, you know, established or esteemed members, like people who have, you know, they're experts in their field, or they've worked very hard to get to where they are now. So anyone else that comes in the group or becomes a member has to go through the same sort of process that everybody else went through. But it seems like it's almost like see, now I'm getting like politics and like the, you know how in British politics we say that it's very much like the gentleman's club, you know, it's all the guys that went to Eton, and it's like a very particular group of individuals that tend to end up high in politics because they've kind of gone through that whole sort of like private school education, and then they've gone to like specific schools, which has opened the doorways that they've needed in order to get to where, you know, they're going, right? And then you've kind of got this guy here that's sort of lounging back in the sort of executive lounge of the airport or whatever, and he's sort of just chilling with his brandy. It's still that same kind of a vibe. So like I was saying, you see how he's just very kind of like laid back? It's like I'm here and I'm present, but he's not acting like he's desperate, right? He's not desperate for the entry, he's not desperate for the membership. And then with the Justice card here, this is retaining perfect balance, right? So it's not swinging too far one way or the other, right? It's just being very, very balanced, being very, very equal. This is why I was saying before about not being too extreme in your approach, not acting too desperate, not kissing ass too much. It's like you need to take a very, very balanced stance and just be like, I'm interested, but I'm not desperate. Okay? Okay, so I'm gonna change deck. Oh, okay, that one wanted to come straight out. The Vulture. Nice. So we're kind of going down this theme of elitism and some sort of a club of esteemed individuals, if that's what you want to call them. And then we've come out with the Vulture. So this tells me, Taurus, that the club or the membership or the committee or the business, the board of whatever members that you're trying to get into, it's a very it's a very harsh environment, right? Because you've got the vulture. They will come down on you like a ton of bricks, Taurus, if you enter too early and if you haven't gone through that process that they require for you to gain access. Okay? They will come down on you. They'll be like vultures. They're circling and they're waiting for you to slip up. So even more so, you're required to obtain this justice stance, this very, very balanced, very in your power, in your element sort of approach, because they will wait for the moment for you to slip up and they will pull you up on it. And then it's kind of like, then you've lost that opportunity, right? So that's why you have to do this the right way. But you should be very, very conscious that the thing that you're aiming for, Taurus, if this is resonating with you, is something that will be a very tough environment to navigate. It will be a tough environment. There will be very, very hard-headed people in there, very not very emotional, not very considerate. The vulture is not a considerate being in this reading. Okay, it's someone that I mean, literally now I'm getting, like, you know, the dark crystal with the vultures. Oh my god, that's really annoying me that I literally can't remember what they're called. The villains in the Dark Crystal. I haven't watched it in ages, but I'm ashamed that I can't remember who they are. But you know, they represent the dark side of the elves, right? Because like the soul split, and one side's the vulture, one side's like the light elves. You need to watch Dark Crystal because I'm not explaining it very well. But like they're the rulers, right? They're the rulers in the Dark Crystal. They're the elite, like the emperor, and you know, they've got control over the little earthling elves, but they're not good. Like, they're the villains of the story, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's an extremely harsh environment that you're trying to enter, and you need to be very, very conscious of that. I feel like you already are, because I feel like, again, that's why I was kind of like getting back, like at the start we were talking about this feeling with like an investigative journalist. It's like you're kind of going in undercover, maybe to kind of get a story or to get information about this kind of club, or to take a kind of a different stance on it, because there's something that you need out of it. But I feel like the people in there are not necessarily like you, Taurus. They might even be slightly cruel, in the sense of, if they're a business mogul, or you know, a very, very high up in business or stock markets and that, it's like they only care about the money. They don't care about their workers. They don't care about how it impacts other people's livelihoods. They're just very, very hard-headed, and they've got their eyes kind of set on their own greed, right? Because the vulture can be quite greedy. Okay, it's always kind of, it has to lick the last meat off the bones. There's nothing left, right? It will take, it will take, it will take. I love vultures, right? This is not a personal attack on the animal. But in this reading, that's what the vulture is kind of representing. Something that will just take and take and not leave much else, right? So that's what you need to be very consciously aware of. And you need to be very protective of your energy if you are going to try and pursue this. But then at the same time, you know, you've got this 10 of Cups here. Sorry, one of my very long hairs is on. You've got this 10 of Cups here. So it is the right path, Taurus. It's the right way to go. It is what you're meant to be doing. It is the correct path to take, and it will provide you all the fulfillment that you're looking for. But you just need to be very conscious of that vulture energy, and that you have to go through certain process in order to get where you need to go, and keep that balance. That was really interesting, Taurus. Nice, thank you. I found that very, very interesting. Okay, Taurus, I hope that was a good reading for you. I hope it resonated for someone. If it didn't resonate for you, then hopefully there'll be something in the next message. But Taurus, I hope you have a lovely day, and I hope you stay safe, and I'm sending you lots of love and light. Bye, Taurus.